Wondering how your mindset affects your life? How to bring more energy into your business and life? Millions of people around the world ask these same questions daily. You are in the right place. Learn practices that will help give your life the meaning and success you've been searching for. Welcome to the Charge Podcast, teaching you how to create habits around real goals every day. Practical life advice from those who made it. Here's your host, Gary Wilbers.
Welcome, Chargers. We're glad to have you back again this week. I'm telling you, I'm excited about this conversation because being an entrepreneur and getting to talk to another entrepreneur, that of course the thoughts and things that we think about getting in the business always comes up. So even if you're not an entrepreneur, don't turn off now, because you're going to enjoy this conversation, because you're going to be able to apply it in your life, even if you're working for someone else. Or it may spur that interest that you decide to get a side hustle. So we are so excited today to have Bryan Clayton with us. He is the CEO and co-founder of GreenPal, an online marketplace that connects homeowners with local lawn care professionals. GreenPal has been called the Uber for lawn care by Entrepreneur Magazine and has over 200,000 active users, completing thousands of transactions per day and doing $20 million a year in sales. But before starting GreenPal, Bryan founded Peachtree Inc., one of the largest landscaping companies in the state of Tennessee, growing it to over $10 million a year in annual revenue before it was acquired by Lusa Holdings in 2013. Bryan's interest and expertise are related to entrepreneurialism, small business growth, marketing, and bootstrapping businesses from zero revenue to profitability and exit. Bryan, it is great to have you on the Charge Podcast. Welcome.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I am so excited about this conversation because I love talking to small business owners and entrepreneurs that have kind of bootstrapped their way in. And I think it's a real testament because it really helps others think about how could they do that. And it really gets their thoughts going. And that's the conversation we're going to have today. But let's go back a little bit and share your story because, of course, before we make it, there's some challenges that go with that. And share some of those struggles, if you would, as you got started and kind of started your businesses.
Yeah, so I agree. Everything that's big starts small. Every big business starts very, very small. And that's been the case for me 2 times with 2 different businesses. Right now, I'm CEO, co-founder of GreenPal, which is the Uber for lawn mowing. Over 200,000 people using this app to get their grass cut. And we've been at this business for 8 years. We're an 8-year overnight success. Rewind before GreenPal, 15, 20 years ago, I started cutting grass in high school as a way to make extra cash. I was actually forced into entrepreneurship by my father on a hot summer day. He said, "Hey, get off your butt, quit playing Nintendo. You've got a job to do. You're going to go mow the neighbor's yard." It really wasn't a request. I wasn't living in a democracy. And luckily he did. Something about that just stuck with me. I made $20 mowing the neighbor's yard. And I was like, man, this is awesome. I don't have to hassle my parents for money anymore. And so the first thing I did after I got done mowing the yard, got paid, and I made out a bunch of flyers and I passed them out all over the neighborhood. By the end of that first summer, I had like 15 customers I was cutting grass for. And I just stuck with this little lawn mowing business summer after summer and kept growing it little by little. And I learned a lot about the basics of entrepreneurship, running that little lawn mowing business. And over time, over a 15-year period of time, I built that up to one of the largest landscaping companies in the state of Tennessee where I live. By year 11, 12, 13, I had 150 employees. We were doing over $10 million a year in revenue in the landscaping industry. And in 2013, the business was acquired by one of the largest landscaping businesses in the United States. So just like I said, growing that business, just me and a push mower to me and 150 people, I learned just through trial and error. This is how you build and scale a business. And the lawn care business is a great one to do it in because you can do it really, really small, or you can grow a big landscaping business. So luckily I was able to experience that at a young age.
Well, that's an interesting story because I think back now, you actually made me think of this, is I was doing some side jobs and doing some lawn mowing in high school also,
right?
And how that kind of gives you that entrepreneurial spirit that you have. So let's talk a little bit about how they can do things to really for our audience, I call them chargers, really that they can incorporate this into their life. So, and I have a lot of small business owners on the podcast. And of course, in this day and age, we're in that third quarter of 2021, and some businesses, it's just been crazy. The pandemic has been a benefit to them, but we've had other businesses that they've been challenged. So the thing that I'd like to really talk about that you're doing with GreenPal now is how can a small business owner really leverage technology to get through a downturn or really to gain more clients and customers?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. So I believe that in 5 or 10 years, maybe sooner, every single business will be a tech business. So it doesn't matter if you have a construction company, home cleaning service, you sell used cars for a living. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Sooner or later, you're going to be in the tech business. And the sooner you start to look and really try to figure out ways you can leverage software to make your little business run smoother, the more prepared you'll be for this big shift that we're already kind of in day one of. And so that's going to do two things. It's going to make your business run smoother, easier, faster. It's going to deliver a better customer experience for your customers. But two, it's also going to have you start thinking in terms of systems, because that's really what technology and software is. It's systems. And so it could be anything from like a customer service system, a way to make it dead easy for your clients to reach out to you and hit you up or hit somebody up 7 days a week. Or it could be a review management system. You know, we have all these reviews everywhere on Facebook, Yelp, Google, you name it. And so you have a system that reaches out to your clients and asks them to leave a good review. And you have a system that tells you when you have bad reviews and where and why. Or it could be a better payroll system, or a better HR system, or a better system for marketing your business. The sooner you start thinking about these things in terms of, okay, I'm going to focus on one little process in my business, and I'm going to figure out a way to make it systematized and what software I need to pull that off. It'll do two things. It'll give you a more efficient business. It'll make your business more delightful to operate, and it'll prepare you for the curve when 5 or 10 years from now, your competitors are going to be doing this stuff, and you don't have to like get the pants spanked off of you. You'll have a better running, more profitable business if you think about this stuff now and do it now.
One philosophy I would give people is, the thing dinosaurs, they're extinct.
That's
and
right.
For that business owner that's sitting there that understands they need to get there, the challenge we're not telling you is if you want to, you have to.
That's right.
It's the new way of doing business. So break it down. And I love what you shared is really it's about software, but then just decide one system that you want to incorporate.
Right.
And bring that forward.
Exactly. And this is the difference between working in your business and on your business. And so the book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, is one of my favorite books. And that's all that book is really about. It's working on the business, thinking high leverage. What are the little processes and systems I can put in place? And the stuff that Michael Gerber was talking about when he wrote the book probably 20 years ago, there really wasn't the software. It was very much pen and pad. There was somebody looking at a spreadsheet and bean counting and like following up and making sure the team member was following the process, all these things. Now we have software that you can just buy off the shelf and you can implement to make sure that the team member is following the checklist of what they do to prepare the room inside of your Airbnb to make sure it's ready, or whatever it is, whatever line of work you're in, whatever vertical you're in, there is a software solution to make that little piece of the business run smoother. And then once you've then you might think, well, that just sounds like a nightmare. I'm going to have 4 or 5 of these different things. Well, now you can stitch these things together to where you can have one like central nervous system for your entire small business. Even if it's just you and 2 or 3 helpers, you need that. You need to start thinking about that now. And you might say, well, I don't have any time for this stuff. It's like pen and pad. I got a spreadsheet and it works for me. I've been doing it like that for 10 years. And I don't have any time for this stuff. Well, the reality is you're going to have to make time, like on a Saturday or a Sunday. Just go into the office and just pick one thing, spend 5 hours on it, read every blog post you can, watch everything on YouTube you can, listen to every podcast you can about that one little process, and then make the change. And then and do that over and over again over a 2 or 3 year period of time. Then your business will be ready. And guess what? It's going to be more profitable and more fun to run.
Well, and I love how you really share that, because it's taking one piece, bringing it forward, and then there's other ways to do it. Maybe your business is running right now, you're very busy in that side of it. Don't I'm a firm believer, and I'm sure you are too. You have to learn, but there are some things that business owners can outsource, certain tasks that they can cut costs. They can make their business, kind of like you said, come together and either survive the downturn that we're in, or for others that I'm seeing just the opposite, that they're doing more business than they've ever done. Well, now is the time to invest. So what's some of those things that you see that people can outsource on some of those tasks that you've been able to do and been able to use by putting technology to work for them?
Yeah. And one of the reasons, just like side note, why I'm so adamant and passionate about this, because I've lived it. I ran a landscaping company for 15 years, and I ran it sloppy. I didn't have these processes and systems. And then I built the software platform to make the landscaping business run smooth. And now that going through this journey, I see all of these opportunities that I missed running the first business. And it's like, damn, if I had just, a lot of thing is, this was 10 years ago. We didn't have the off the shelf SaaS stuff that we do today. So I'll give myself a little bit of an excuse there, but I still see all these opportunities where I could have ran a better business, more efficient business, and been more profitable company. So that's why it's just so glaring to me. But the thing where you can create these processes and these systems inside your business, leverage technology, and then that sets you up to where you can maybe outsource some of these things. So let's just say that you want to work on customer service, and you want to work on you want to be able to have like a 5-minute response time to any single person that reaches out to your business, and you want to be able to give them the help they need. And it's like, you don't have time to do this. And so you literally, like, you're a one-arm paper hanger. You're trying to like stay on top of this stuff. Well, what you'll do is you'll say, okay, I have the live chat on my website, or I have a call center that picks up, or whatever. And it's always like the same 10 things all the time that we're dealing with. And so now I can work on the business rather than in the business. I can create like some sort of like decision tree around the 10 most common things that we deal with. And then I can have a virtual assistant help manage those, to where somebody can like get the help they need within a minute. And then if they can't help them with that, then they hit me up. And it's create a process or a routine around that. Or it could be like the reputation management. It could be like, okay, well, I have a 3.8 star rating on Yelp right now, and I need a 5 for my little bakery or my construction company or something like that. How am I going to get there? Well, the first thing I can do personally is I can reach out to the last 100 customers and offer them a 20% off coupon or something like something for free, and then ask them, hey, would you mind reviewing your experience on Yelp? And I can do that personally. I can hand crank that. And after I've done 100 of them, then I can create a process for somebody else to do it. Now, the problem is most people skip the first part, and they like just try to delegate too soon, and they try to delegate to a virtual assistant or somebody maybe even locally too soon. And the reality is, you got to do it yourself for a little while first, then you create the step-by-step process. And a great book on how to do this is the 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. And that book is not about working 4 hours a week. That book is about delegation. It's about processes, systems, and doing exactly kind of what we're talking about here is, okay, all of these things that are happening in the business, you're nailing them. And then the way you scale them is to create the system in the process where a virtual assistant, somebody remote, can take them off your shoulders. And then that's kind of like a force multiplier. Then like, even if it's just you, a solo entrepreneur, you have 4 or 5 people, assistants, helping you with these things, to where then you're freed up to do the high leverage stuff. You can work on the business and get out of in the business.
Yeah, I love that. And that really, you brought up something that's so interesting. We've talked about it a couple of times, is reputation management, and how important that is. And of course, GreenPal is totally online. And I have a heating and cooling company that has spent a lot of time making sure they get reviews, and they've seen that it's brought them business time after time again, because when they're looking up, when they've got a repair and they need to be fixed, and they see that they have great reviews, what does it do? It brings them top of mind, and right away they get a phone call. And that reputation management, I think not enough people realize that online, if you're not managing it, that's a customer service component you're totally missing. Even if you
Absolutely.
got great in-person customer service, if that not getting translated over online, it's costing you a lot of business. And I'm sure you've seen that in your businesses.
That's right. If you're in the heating and cooling space, or if you're an electrician, or you're a maid, or you're a roof repair service, somebody on the team needs to be spending 3, 4, 5, 10 hours a week on reputation management. That means responding to all the reviews and figuring out, okay, is this person just unreasonable, which, a certain number of people out of 10 are unreasonable, whether it's 1 out of 10 or 3 out of 10, I don't know. It probably varies by industry, but some people are unreasonable, nothing you can do. You just kindly respond back that sorry, we let you down, and send them on their way. But this could be one of the best R&D things that you can do in terms of when maybe we do suck in some places, and maybe there are some things we need to fix in the core aspect of the business that we're offering. And this is kind of helping us. It's not happening to us, it's happening for us. And so it's kind of twofold. And then so you're responding, you're curating and making sure that it looks as good as it can. And then also you're pinging and reaching out to your clientele, particularly the ones are happy, and asking them, if you did a really great job, they'll be glad to do it, to transfer the satisfied customer experience to Yelp or Google or Facebook or Trustpilot, wherever you're sending them. My point is, somebody's got to do it. And so it's you as the founder owner doing it first. You're going to get the first 100 or 1,000 reviews, and while you're doing that, you're codifying the process that we do to get them, and that we do to maintain them. And there's a great website called loom.com, and this is like the best online recording software there is. So as you're doing this, you can literally record your screen and be talking, and it's kind of imagine whoever it is you're hiring, and imagine you're explaining to them how you do it. And then you're documenting the process along the way, to where you can then hand it off, delegate somebody to deal with on a weekly basis. And then that's a high leverage thing that you just did. And then if you do that like 20 more times for 20 different other things over 5 years, that's how you build a business.
I love how you really share is to figure it out first, then move forward with it.
Right.
Instead of so many people think, go ahead and delegate it. You can't delegate something that you haven't done because you don't know the process that's in there.
Exactly.
Now, one thing for entrepreneurs that becomes so important is mindset. Because if they don't have that positive mindset that they're going to move forward and the challenges they're having, and some of them right now have been blown because they don't have these processes and they think it's going to be too hard. Some of them, it's about the mindset with the economic challenges that they're having. How do you think mindset really plays into a business owner's philosophy of what's going to happen the next 1 to 3 years in their business?
Yeah. So I think there's two things. One way to look at business is like everybody says, "Oh, follow your passion." And I've been in grass cutting for 23 years in some shape or form. I had never been passionate about cutting grass. As a matter of fact, I hate the smell of freshly cut grass. I've mowed so many damn lawns in my life. So I'm not passionate about grass cutting, but you know what? The landscaping industry is a source of purpose for me. And Uber for lawn care, GreenPal, my current business, is a source of purpose. So I think if you follow your purpose, and if your business is your purpose in life, it's the reason you're getting out of bed. It's like it is the reason why you're getting through the hard times and getting through the slog. That kind of helps take care of a lot of these hard points in the journey. And so if you kind of think of your life in the context of a movie, that and you're the hero, you're the main character. That hero is going through ups and downs, and if they didn't, it'd be a pretty damn boring movie. And so you think about that, and you think about your business journey in the context of that, it kind of helps you manage your psychology and reframe it to where there's going to be high points, there's going to be low points. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you, and that the business is kind of your source of your purpose in your life. If you're kind of blasé about the business, you don't care about it that much, and it's a pain in the ass to run, and you really hate it, and it's not the source of your purpose, well, then some of these low points are going to sink your company. And so you kind of have to reframe it. You kind of have to have that fire in your belly for it. And that takes care of a lot of the small stuff.
One thing you can tell from Bryan, he may say that he doesn't love grass cutting as a passion, but I'm telling you, he's sharing his passion of sharing knowledge. And that's one thing about entrepreneurs is they love to be able to share the journeys that they went through. And a lot of times, like we've talked about, it's the struggles
That's
that
right.
really benefit. So the thing I would tell anyone that's sitting out there is find you a mentor, find you a coach, talk to other entrepreneurs, because that's the way you change your mindset. Because you may be looking at your business with that glass half empty. Instead, someone else could see it half full. And there's a total difference in that. And I loved how you framed that up, but I just loved how when I asked you that question, boy, the passion came up. And I appreciate that, Bryan.
I think, I think a lot of the slog and a lot of the hard parts of business ownership is just comes down to expectations. We expected it to go quicker and faster and better. And that's what's got us down. If you can really reframe it, look at it almost like a video game, it's going to take, I'm just got to get through level one. And level one is maybe your first 100K in revenue or your first 1,000 customers, 100 customers, whatever. Don't worry about anything else. Just get through level one. The other thing too is it's really hard to make something of yourself. And, particularly if you're like me, you don't have any talent. It's really hard to make something of yourself. Business can be the thing you can tap into to make something of your life and make something of your time here on this earth. And it's something, if you live in the United States, we all have access to, and we all have access to the ability to learn how to do this stuff. What a great time to be alive. So think of it in terms of this business is the vehicle to make something of myself, make something of my life.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we set unrealistic expectations. We look at somebody, whatever, let's say Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, but Zuckerberg wasn't successful to like 8-10 years in.
Right.
You've talked about your slog you're in right now. GreenPal came the numbers that it's at over an 8-year period.
That's
and
right.
Most businesses, that struggle is we think it's going to happen instantly because we hear of other people, but we forget to ask them, when did they really get started? And it's
That's
normally
exactly
a 5 to 10 year period is when you hit your strengths in those areas. Let's talk about another area, because in your business, you had up to 150 employees. That's about how many I had at my height. And that's always a challenge, because getting employees to do things that we want them to do and provide the customer service and to be a good employer is a challenge. But really, you got to get them to come together in the business to bring the business through the challenging times when they're really busy, and also in those economic challenging times. How did you kind of view your employees, and how did you use them to leverage your business and really help them? And then they in turn helped your business grow.
It's a combination of a lot of different things. The first thing is if you're driving to the office and you've got 5 people, 10 people, 50 people, and you don't want to be there, and you're pissed off, and you don't like the people that work for you, and the culture sucks, well, you get exactly the culture you deserve as the founder. As the owner, you get exactly what you deserve, because you hired these people, and they are a reflection of you. They are going to reflect what your vibe is. They're going to reflect what your attitude is. They're going to reflect what your enthusiasm is. So that's step one. And I have done this wrong for years. And there was one point in time where, like, I would drive to the shop and I had a pit, like pain in my stomach. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to go there. And then somebody told me this same advice that I'm repeating now. It's like, well, you get exactly what you deserve. You built it. And I was like, damn, he's right. So step one starts with you. So the sooner you can understand that, the better. That helps you figure out how to make better hires. It also helps you do the things you should be doing in terms of pruning out people out of the organization that are kind of cancerous, that are kind of bringing everybody else down. As the leader, as the founder, that's your job, is to get the right people on the bus, get the wrong people off the bus. And so if you want to manage more than probably one person, maybe 2, you need to start thinking about leadership, management, getting good at these things, reading the books, going to the conferences, watching the stuff on YouTube to become a better leader. Stuff like what John Maxwell, any book he's ever written, you need to be reading all of those, because we're not born leaders. You're going to have to think about how to become a decent leader. And that's something that took me probably a decade to go through. So that's how you really kind of start to evolve negative kind of job culture into a good one. Or if you can do it right the first time, you don't have to go through a lot of that pain that we do as business owners, because it is really your fault if it's not good. And you have to think about ways to learn how to become a good leader and how to become a good manager. You got to invest in yourself, and then take the things you're learning and put it into the company.
Now, I just want people to realize, if you're listening really close, you notice that he even put his landscaping in terms, because he talked about pruning out those bad
That's
employees.
right.
So I'm catching this, and I see how he reflects it back still in the landscaping business, in his philosophies. But the philosophy of leadership is the key. And the first thing you've got to do is start with yourself. I do some speaking, Bryan. And when I speak, I always ask in a room, I'll ask how many people are leaders. I did it last Friday and had about 30 people in the room, and less than half raised their hand. And then I tell them, well, it was really a trick question, because I didn't ask you, did you have a title of a leader? I asked you, are you a leader?
That's right.
And every one of us are leaders, but we have to bring it forward. And in entrepreneurship and small business owners, you do lead your team. And I have some of them same struggles. I was the same way. I had my attitude was worn on my sleeve when I'd show up at the office. And then I wondered why it was such a crappy place to work. And that's now why I talk about positive culture in the workplace, because it makes a big difference. And you are the leader of that. So there's a lot of tools to get there. Bryan, I tell you, we could probably go on for the next hour, because we are two entrepreneurs and we love to be able to share that knowledge with others. But before I do, why don't you share with them now? And then I've got 3 recharge round questions that I'd like to ask you, but share how they could reach out to you, your website, and how they could connect with you.
Yeah. So anybody listening to this doesn't want to waste time cutting your grass, you can just download GreenPal in the App Store or Play Store. Get hooked up with a great lawn mowing service in less than a minute. Anybody who wants to reach out to me, I hang out on LinkedIn and Instagram. You can drop me a connection and a DM on either of those places.
And we will have all those in show notes so you can go to them. So just go to chargepodcast.com, because most likely there's some people out there cutting their grass right now, since we're still in that third quarter of the year. There's still people having to cut their lawns, and some people have to cut them all year round. I'm not in one of those states that we have to do that, but sometimes people have that capability. So go check that out as you go there. I've got 3 questions for you that I like to ask every guest about what I call the recharge round. My first one is, our podcast is named Charge, and that's for a reason. Create habits around real goals every day. What habit do you think has led to success in your life?
Consistency is just like the key to doing anything successful. If you want to learn how to play the piano, you want to learn how to salsa dance, you want to learn how to be a good MMA fighter, you got to be consistent. And that certainly is the case with business. For me, one thing that helps me stay consistent is to do what I call our tripwires. And so I will create little tripwires on a weekly or monthly basis, where so for instance, I just hired a CMO marketer to work on GreenPal with us, that makes $350 an hour. Now, we can't afford somebody $350 an hour for 40 hours a week, but we can't afford them for 1 hour a week. And so I know I have to meet with this lady 1 hour a week, and that's a tripwire, because then I know my entire rest of my team needs to have gotten all the stuff done, all of the things we needed to do on a weekly basis, to when I meet with her, then she can reframe the strategy and figure out what it is we're doing. So create little tripwires in your life, in your business, that'll help you stay on track.
Oh, excellent. Appreciate you sharing that. I have a philosophy. I don't know if you like going to the spa, but I kind of like going to the spa. But the thing is, it's called simple positive action.
Yeah.
What's a simple positive action you do daily that really helps you move forward in your life?
Simple positive action. Couple things. I am the laziest, hardest working person there ever was. And so I make myself exercise every morning. Hate it, but I love it when it's done. And then also I try to do one nice thing for somebody every day. And a lot of times they don't even know it. And so that's just something that creates positivity in my life. I think in life, you're either in one or two states. You're either in expansion or you're in contraction. You're either coping or you're thriving. And so doing these like little positive things for people, most of them they never know, just keeps me in a state of expansion.
Excellent. Love that. Now, last one for you. Share your biggest life lesson, and what did you learn from it?
Biggest life lesson. Wow. Where do I even start? One, everybody loves being an entrepreneur until they can't make payroll. And one time in the 2008 downturn running my last company, payroll was like $100,000 a week. I couldn't make it. And it was only had like $17,000 in the bank, and payroll was due in the morning. It was like 120 grand. And so it was a life lesson of I screwed up, and I wanted to blame everything else but me. And I wanted to blame the downturn, the banking crisis, all these things. And it was my fault. And so it was like a lesson of personal accountability. Like, I got us here. I screwed up somewhere. And now I had to figure out how I'm going to help us fix this. And we got through it. And, 5 years later, I was glad that my company had to go through that crisis, because it made us a better company, more galvanized team. But that was a lesson in personal accountability when it comes to running a business.
Yeah, I love that. And personal accountability, just think, if each person takes that, what change would we make in the world? What change would we make in our families and ourselves? That's there each and every day. Bryan, it's been great sharing with you and really sharing some knowledge. And I appreciate you coming on the Charge podcast and giving to the audience and really allowing the Chargers to learn from some of your challenges and mistakes, but allowing them to really think differently. And I think that's the thing that I would tell you is think differently from this conversation. Even if you're a team member and you're an employee of somewhere, what could you do different in that business? And then that gives you the opportunity maybe to take it to the next stage as you move forward. Share with them again how they can reach out and connect with you, and check out GreenPal if they'd like.
Yeah. You can download GreenPal in the App Store or Play Store, or go to our website, yourgreenpal.com, or anybody want to hit me up, just hit me up on LinkedIn or Instagram.
Well, we will have all that in show notes. Bryan, I thank you for joining us again on the Charge podcast.
I had a ball. Thanks for having me on.
Chargers, if you're not geared up now, I can tell you, Bryan and I are both motivated and ready to go conquer the day. So I hope you are too. So whatever you're doing today, decide to take that action to move forward. And if you are an entrepreneur or a small business owner, share this with other people, because it could be vital for them to really get their systems in place and really think about their business differently. And that becomes the keys. So again, like and share it, let others know about it. And if you can give us a testimonial, we would truly appreciate it. Make it a great day, and we'll see you back here next week.
This podcast is ended, but your life doesn't just stop. To continue your inspiring journey, head over to chargepodcast.com and access all the tools and resources mentioned on today's show. If you enjoyed this episode, consider sharing with somebody who may also benefit from the advice provided. That's chargepodcast.com. Until next time, charge in business and life.